Greetings of peace. This is a video of why you should not really be concerned with women's sexuality and why you should not condemn them. So growing up, in my city, a lot of us were, we were raised under single parents. You know what I'm saying? I've seen a lot of things in terms of, and I've been exposed to a lot of sexual things at a very early age that that changed my mind on relationships and just the world around me, for better or for worse. You know what I'm saying? I dodged a few molestation attempts by men and women as a child. You know what I'm saying? I had a few close calls. You know what I'm saying? In my city, you know what I'm saying? Kids usually start having sex young, 6th, 7th grade. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these girls, when I was in, middle school and stuff like that, we'd be in 7th grade. These girls would be 13, 14 years old, talking about how they're dating dudes that are in their 20s, how they're having, group sex, trains getting rain on them, their body count out in the open, et cetera, right under their parents' nose. You know what I'm saying? Their secret pregnancies and the secret abortions that they got that their parents didn't know about. Da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? My parents separated when I was 3, so I did not have that mother and father example, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? So growing up, I was exposed to a lot of, sexual themes from an early age. You know what I'm saying? People having sex wide open, like behind a bush or on a bench right in front of you, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? Girls in the neighborhood doing certain exhibitions, da 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 da. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, one of my goals, is something like by 21, I wanted to be like married with like children, et cetera, et cetera. But growing up and, stepping outside of my home and starting to interact with women and growing up and being in the neighborhood and hanging out with certain people, I began to see a certain side of them that that changed the way I viewed. My mother was a good woman. She tried to raise me to have respect and to do the right thing and to, she raised me up to be a good boy. You know what I'm saying? But when I stepped out of my home, I saw a whole different world. You know what I'm saying? In general, I don't, in regards to, the social dynamic between men and women today, it doesn't really look good from my perspective. In regards to me, being a husband or having children, I'll be 30 this year, so I'm getting older. You know what I'm saying? Probably it would make sense to have children within the next 10 years, but I don't have high optimism. Being like a family man, to be honest, based on my personality and based on the way I see the society and the characteristics of the women of this country, I probably could get a good 3 to 5 years out of each woman that I'm with. You know what I'm saying? My whole 20s, I spent, focusing mostly on my business and my goals. I didn't want to have any serious relationships, and I didn't want to risk any pregnancies because I didn't want to teeter off my trajectory. You know what I'm saying? One of my goals when I was a boy, I decided to myself that I wouldn't have a serious relationship until I had at least 7 figures income, or at least 7 figures liquid in the bank that I could look out and see that I didn't owe tax on. You know what I'm saying? I said before that, I wouldn't consider having children or a serious relationship or a wife. Poverty runs in my family. You know what I'm saying? I come from a long line of poverty on my maternal side. I wanted to break generational curses. You know what I'm saying? On my father's side, they were upper caste people, but because they were colonized, they fell down. But my father's an educated man. He's doing very well. You know what I'm saying? My mother's doing very well. But in general, most of my family was poor growing up. Me personally, me and my mother were on Section 8 growing up. She started her business. A few years later, I see how, she was able to make a way for herself and a decent income. And she didn't even finish high school. You know what I'm saying? So I learned from my parents the value of hard work and not making excuses for yourself. So, you know what I'm saying? Growing up based on, you know what I'm saying? And then, a lot of my peers, I saw how they were with girls. A lot of them, in my opinion, was doing a lot of sucker stuff. Me, I didn't want to be a sucker. You know what I'm saying? To me, what I saw a lot of my friends doing was giving up their manhood for a feeling, you know what I'm saying, or for sex, or just for some type of infatuation that fades anyways, short term. You know what I'm saying? I've always been business minded and goal oriented. You know what I'm saying? The things I'm going to do with my life in the next 5 to 10 years will be unprecedented for people who come from my city and environment and cities that are like that. and my family, et cetera, et cetera. You know, I'm getting ready to do things at a different level. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want any distractions or anything like that. But I see online a lot of people are complaining. Like you have this red pill, this MGTOW movement. They saying that women aren't traditional, or that they have high body count, or da 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 da. And I'm not gonna debate you on, you know, this. The social climate is what it is. I see the same things you say, but here's the thing: we're men. You know what I'm saying? People will only do to you what you allow them to do it. So the outside world is what it is, but you have to be a rock in an ocean, right? And you can't let that affect you. So yes, maybe they do have high body count. Maybe they aren't naturally submissive. Maybe they are a bit masculine. But if you're a masculine man and you're dealing with a woman that's try to be masculine, you kick her to the curb. If you need a woman if you require a woman to be submissive in your life and she's not submissive, you kick her to the curb. You know what I'm saying? You have to be strong. But a lot of us, we're weak in our loins, and a lot of us are clingy. We have unresolved issues from our childhood, and we want to, we want a woman to fill the void in our lives and do that, and that's unacceptable. You know what I'm saying? These women, they're not our mother and they're not our children. You know what I'm saying? Like the way, this world has become more feminized, is very gynocentric in a way. So the thing is this: we have to man up as men. We have to recondition our mind to adapt to the climate of today. Now, if you look in history, all the animals that have gone extinct, you know what I'm saying, is because they couldn't adapt to new circumstances. The reason why humans are still here is because we are able to adapt to new circumstances. And we have over thousands of years, hundreds of thousands, et cetera, how long we've been here, et cetera, et cetera. So I see a lot of these men complaining, but if you were doing your best to be the best man you could be every day, I don't see how any of this could affect you. I see a lot of these guys talking about looks, money, status, and your height, et cetera, et cetera. Listen, you don't need any of that to have a woman, you know what I'm saying? It's just, you need to get out there and you need to talk to, you just need to talk to more of them. I've seen plenty of guys that were short that had a lot of money. Had a lot of women. I've seen guys that have no money, that had to panhandle just to make ends meet, have a lot of women, even more women than these guys in my city who are supposed to be popular, these fly boys with these fly cars, et cetera, et cetera. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, everything comes back to you. You know what I'm saying? What you are responsible for the things that you let in your life. You know what I'm saying? So what these women out here are doing, let them do what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, they're going to do what they do, but you're not obligated to accept what they do. If you don't want a woman with a high body count, then you don't need to have a woman with a high body count. But the thing is this, what I noticed is that even if you ask these women, a lot of them are not truthful. Like coming up in my city, a lot of the girls that we hung around, they would tell us certain things, you know what I'm saying? A lot of these girls were, in their late teens, already 20, 30, sexual partners in, having sex with men 10, 20 years as senior, and they would openly admit this, you know what I'm saying? And they didn't care about it, whether they were comfortable with us or what it was, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that's the situation today. Now, in the past, a girl would be, she would be a virgin until marriage. Her father would choose a mate for her, et cetera, et cetera. That was different times. There was less technology, less financial opportunities for women, no birth control, et cetera, et cetera. It was risky to have casual sex and move the way they move today. It was just too risky. It was risky for their health, their body, and then the social stigma, and then they could end up destitute if they played the wrong card. So we had control over our communities. They had to come up under us. But now that's changed. There's birth control. They have on average there's more women enrolled in colleges than men. They have the opportunity to earn a high income. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? So they don't really, have to acquiesce to a man's desires. Now they can just deal with who they want to deal with, which is usually based on lust. You know what I'm saying? And not based on, security or provision. You know what I'm saying? They don't need a man for security and provision anymore. So they can afford to be more riskier and take more risks with their body than they could, than previously. You know what I'm saying? So that's just the situation, how it is now. A lot of men are crying sour grapes about this, but You just have to survey the landscape and see it for what it is and how it can work for you based on you and your characteristics. You know what I'm saying? Rather than you trying to be a victim or trying to say that you can't do this, that because the women aren't X, Y, Z. You know what I'm saying? That's, that I don't understand. You know what I'm saying? Now, if most of what you see out there is not palatable to you, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Just, I don't know what to tell you. How can I say, like, some men out there feel like they're not going to be able to have a family or whatever picture they paint in their mind, and then that might be right, but is that necessarily a bad thing? You know what I'm saying? Maybe in previous generations it would be considered a tragedy, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have any emotions or be angry or feel a certain type of way about the things you see, but the world is what it is right now, and you gotta adapt and just roll with the punches, for better or for worse. You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. This is our karma as a society. This is where we are, and we have to accept it for what it is and look within for our own happiness instead of outward. You know what I'm saying? I notice about a lot of men today is that everything's external. They just, and with people in general, everybody's looking for something outside to fulfill themselves. You know what I'm saying? The fulfillment got to come from inside. You know what I'm saying? And I still have my lessons to learn, so I'm not trying to talk like I got it all figured out. But what I do know is I'm not a victim. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to make the most of my life based on the current circumstance that I have. And whatever happens to me that's unfortunate, you know what I'm saying? I'll just take it in stride and learn and just keep on rolling. And that's it.